Okay. How's it going, everyone? Hopefully, everyone's getting excited here. This is going to be a really fun stream. So let me make sure that this looks pretty good. Yeah, it does. Let's- Right. I see some people popping in for the mini event, so I'm really excited. Just gonna wait a few more minutes and then we'll get started. So this is gonna be pretty fun, and I'll get through some introductions. But hello, hello. Really, really excited for this mini event. It's one of my favorite things that I like to do, especially in the theme of Beginners Week. We can all relate that as we're learning new things, we are starting to understand design and how it works and what looks good and what doesn't. So, yeah, it's gonna make a lot more sense in a bit. So I can't wait for some of you to see what it all looks like. But this is gonna be a fun one. So just to introduce myself, hi everyone. I'm Robert from MLH. I'm actually the head of product design at Major League Hacking. So a lot of what I do is oversee some of the design of their internal tools, some of the future things that you'll get to play with as a hacker at MLH, and more importantly, really focusing on a lot of the UX and UI. More recently, just taking a stab at redesigning the Global Hack Week website. So that's really one great thing that a lot of you have liked. Still something we're going to improve and make it a lot better so that hackers all over the world, such as yourself, can be able to find everything you're looking for. But for the most part, I have a lot of experience in design and UX and UI. So this is a really fun way for those of you who are aspiring developers or designers or anyone who has a feel for trying to get a feel on what design looks like and feels like. This should help you kind of sharpen those tools. So I'm really excited to showcase. So why don't we just go ahead and start? So I'm going to go ahead and present my screen here. And so I'm just going to do this game. And then let me go ahead and split kind of both sides here. So hopefully you can kind of see a little bit of myself. So a little bit of picture in picture. So this is going to be really fun. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be learning Can't Unsee, and this is a website that I'll paste at the end so you can follow along. But what's really important is this is a free, fun game that you can play with, and what we're going to go through is try to guess which of the designs are correct. And so I want you to take a stab at it right now through the tutorial. We'll go through 3 slides and we'll figure out which design feels a lot better. And that's really subjective to say what's a good design and what's a bad design. But really, what's important is we're looking at something that aesthetically looks good, that is usable, that means you can see it clearly. So by good design, we're looking for design that is easy to understand. And as we play this game, the game's going to get a little bit more complex. So don't worry, we'll kind of go through it together. But in the chat, go ahead and let me know, what do you think is better? Is it here on the left or the right? Which one is better, left or right? We have this one here. So you can kind of obviously start and see, well, there's a few things about this one, but there's some of these that are a little bit off. So, oh, it looks like I'm not sharing my screen. Oh, I have to add my screen. There we go. So can everyone see my screen now? That's a really good point. Let's see. I appreciate someone who said that you can now see my screen. So hopefully you can see my screen now, potentially, maybe. Let's see. Let's see if I just switch this over. No. Ooh, let me see what's going on here. I can see myself at the bottom. Let's see if I can get rid of this like banner. Oh, there's a banner on the screen. Yeah, I'm behind the banner. Yeah, that makes total sense. Let me try to get rid of the banner. Nope, that just takes that out. 1 second. This is my first time using StreamYard, so naturally there's gonna be some things I'm learning. Yep, I'm trying to see it. Let's see. Let's get rid of the banner. So let's see if I can move that one off. Ah, that's really interesting. Let's do this one. Maybe this works. Nope, that doesn't do anything. Oh no. How do I get rid of this banner that I'm trying to do? Let's see. Um, let's see. Okay, cool. So we're gonna go ahead and fix this real quick, just so everyone can see my screen, and then we can play the game, because otherwise, can't really do that. So let's see. Let's see. Okay, cool. So I think we can turn the overlay off. There we go. Okay, I think we're all set now. Figured it out. All right, we're all set, right? So you see me, you see the Unsee game. We got the tutorial up. Awesome. Okay, this is perfect. This is exactly what we want. So right now you can see there's two designs. On the left, there's one design. On the right, there's another design. And what we're going to be playing is which design is better. And this is going to get a lot tricky. So make sure I'm in full screen or I'm a little bit bigger, because as the game continues, it's going to get a lot more tricky. So the left is better. So based on this, and I'll drop the link so you can play at the end, but let's make sure that we all can kind of play together so you can think about it. So a lot of you are saying the left is better. The left is a little bit better in this case. And I'm going to explain briefly why, because, well, for the main thing we can see here is we see that a lot of this is correct. We see that there's a good shape on the avatar. We can see it's a better arrow. So the ratio is correct. Of course, the black text, the icons are aligned. So a lot of the obvious things that you would be able to kind of look at. So left is a lot better. What about this one? So not as obvious. There's a few things that would dictate which one's better, the left or right. But go ahead and put in the chat, left or right, what you think is a lot better. And again, when we're looking at design and in the spirit of Beginners Week, we're trying to think about, all right, well, how do we learn what is or isn't better? And so a lot of you are saying the right, you would be correct. That is correct. It is the right. If I compare the two, you can kind of see why. And again, they have the round, the radius, which is important. We also have the contrast. A big thing in design is important, the contrast. So one last one. Let's see if any of you can get an idea of what would be the better design here, the left or right. So let's go ahead and see which one is better, the left design or the right design. So a lot of you are saying left, there's a little difference there, but if you are saying the left, if you're thinking that the left design is a lot better, you would be correct. And it's because of this extra space that's not wasted, and we're really making sure we're sticking to the size of the text. So that's the game. So let's go ahead and start going through some of the easier ones. We'll kind of play with this and you'll kind of start playing with it. And if you ever have a question, or if I need to explain something to help you better understand design, then that's great. So in this one, a lot of you are saying that the right is better. And there's a few reasons why that could be the case. There is obviously the rounded corners, which aesthetically is nicer. Maybe you might think the contrast, but you would be correct if you think it's the right. The right is better, mainly because of the border radius. That's a big thing. Let's go to the next one. Of course, we've got a ad here. So this one maybe might be tricky for some of you. You might start seeing that this game gets a little trickier. But there is one subtle difference looking at these two designs, why one is better than the other. And if I might be able to zoom in more. There we go. Let's see if that helps for some of you. So what is that? I'm seeing some chat right now. Yep. So a lot of you are pointing out the 2 hours ago. It would be the right. So the right side is correct. It's because of the contrast of that. Now that subtlety is really important. You don't want, especially in a darker background, you don't want to go too dark. You want to go just light enough. So this is really important. So if you said the right, good job. You caught it. Now this one's very important when we're learning about design, right? This is a super big one when we're looking at these two, when we're trying to say, well, what is better? And it's only one thing in this image. So we're going to see this a little bit later, but this one does have different things that would be important. So the right is better. Some of you are thinking the right. Does anyone think that the left is better? Is there anything on the left that would make it better? Okay, I see left. Some of you are saying the left. Giving everyone a few more seconds. Yep, seeing some different images. So there's a few things some of you pointed out, picture quality, the size. Now, I can zoom out a little bit. Absolutely, this might help. I'm gonna zoom out just a bit so everyone can see a little bit better. So it's not the pricing box, it's the image. Some of you are saying the resolution, that could be a big thing. It's the ratio, it's the stretched image. We don't want stretched images. We really don't want that. And so what's important here is that the design on the right is a better design because of the aspect ratio. We want to make sure your aspect ratios are always being maintained. There's a lot of code you can do that, especially with CSS now. Whether you're designing it in Figma or you're implementing it as a developer, you want to make sure that you're using the right ruling so that the images are always going to be in the right ratio. So it's always something you want to keep in mind in design. Now, this one might be a little bit more obvious. It's okay. It gets obvious at first and then gets a lot more trickier. So we have two designs here, and we're trying to send like a little invite screen. And so looks like a lot of you are obviously saying what is immediately already obvious, right? The right is a design that's a lot better. And if you're thinking that in this section, the right is a better one, it is. And it's just because of that caption color. You want good contrast. And a lot of the times when you have those colors, you have like blues, or you have sometimes like different purples, depending on the shading of those colors, you got to go with a white background. Now, here's something. If you're on a yellow background, something that's really bright, you might have to go dark. It just depends on the background. You have to maintain the contrast. So what about this one? All right, we're taking a different stab, a different stab. Oh, someone said they really like the website. That's awesome. I'm so glad. More things to come on it, but I'm really glad y'all like it. Hopefully a workshop. So in this one, let's see what would make it better. Okay. So some early responses. I'm starting to see right. Okay. And anybody able to comment what they're noticing of why it would be either the left or right? Someone said the camera icon, the alignment. Yep. Yeah, the enable. Yep, the alignment text. You are correct. The right is the better design. It's that vertical alignment. You got to make sure things are aligned. They're in contrast. They're in ratio to each other. And that's a really big thing. So that would be the better design. What about this one? This is taking a different stab. So same type of design, not alignment this time, but what would be a better design that you can't unsee? Again, with that great mini game, can't unsee. What is awesome about this? Okay, so some of you are saying the right is better. Some of you saying the left. So this one's kind of splitting a few of you. Looks like, yeah. So some of you are pointing out the obvious, right? The caps. But some of you are saying that the right is better. I got to tell you, then this one, the only thing difference is the text, and the left is a better design. Some of you are saying the right, but there is no subtle difference except for the text. And you want to maintain that in capitalization, you're either doing camel case, you're going all caps, you're going all lowercase. You got to stick with that. You got to make sure consistency is being straight, is taken care of. So what do? You go for either or. It's either lowercase, it's either going to be uppercase, or it's going to be camel case. Consistency, just like someone said. Exactly. Let's do the next one. All right. So this one, some of you actually might have trouble. When I used to use this in some of the classes I taught, this was one that people got stumped on. What is the better design, the left or the right? There's a few differences here, but this is kind of close to what we're talking about. All right. Early impressions from a lot of the folks here. Amazing. All of you hackers are starting to kind of feel it. Okay, I see a few different options, but let me go ahead and share. It is all about the filling of the icons. You want to go with the left design because you want to get a consistent style. Mixing styles is not good, especially in this case, right? We're having different ones that are active. You can have, filled in or non-filled in icons, but it just depends on the context of where it's being done. And in this context for the application, we're doing active, we're having them filled. So if maybe one was inactive, we'd do a color fill, or we would do a significant difference. Like we would do something different, but you would be correct if you said left. So this one, similar to what we talked about before, what would be a better design? This time we're not stretching it, but is the left or the right better? Can you unsee it? So a lot of great participation here. Love it. Yep. A lot of you are starting to say the left. There's some objectiveness to it, but to the certain point, if we're thinking about foundational, what's really important is we're looking at saying, okay, what is fundamental good design? So there could be some objectiveness to it, but I think a lot of us would agree that fundamentally a design looks X and Y. So in this case, a lot of you are saying that the left, and indeed the left is a better design. So good job. And again, the reason being the ratio. that extra space is not needed. You can have the image fill, but you still want to maintain good ratio. So on top of it not being stretched, you still want to make sure that you're filling in the image and you're maintaining that ratio. That's important. All right. How about this one? So we're taking an older design, we're changing a few things. Which is a better design? This one can be a little tricky. Some of you might get it. Some of you might not. Early impressions say a lot of you are saying that one is better than the other. Okay, so this one's starting to split some of you. Okay, I can see it. Yeah. So some of you have identified it's the line. So it's the line that is different, but is it better on the left or is it better on the right? Okay, let's reveal the answer. The answer is the left. That width is a little bit too big. And in contrast of everything else, most of your separators are typically going to be a little bit smaller. They're not going to be really thick. The times when we use thick lines is when we're separating a lot of content. But if you were using this and you're stacking another one against a line like that, you would want a thinner separator. Just enough that it's separated, but not enough that it really separates it. So in this case, the left is a lot better. You want a thinner one. So hopefully this is either making you a better designer or you're starting to kind of see how you want to start looking at some designers objectively of, well, what is good or bad? Okay, so what about this one? This one is subtle. This one's a little subtle. You may not see it or you may see it. In this case, a lot of you are passionate. I can tell. You already know which one's a better design. So, yep, a lot of you are coming here. Good job. I love it. So, there's only one thing that's different about this one. We're not mixing too many things. This one is the icon size. The icon size is starting to be a little bit more in line of what is expected versus the right. So the left is better because of that icon size. It's just too big. You got to maintain it in line. You can almost imagine there's a line running at the top of the letters, and it's just way too big here. It doesn't fit. So it's all about the spacing and making sure that the sizing fits well. All right, we're going to go ahead and jump through and get some of the medium ones. So I'm just going to kind of hit these rapid fire real quick so we can get to some of the more challenging ones. All right, so this one. Going to get a little bit trickier, but what is better? And why is one better than the other? Now, these are going to be very subtle. These aren't as obvious as before, but you're going to be trying to compare which of the two is better. And I think even I've been doing this a long time. Even I still kind of have to double check. So I'm looking at these and I have a certain answer, but it's really subtle. All right. A lot of you are saying it's the icons alignment, and a lot of you are saying it's the left. Let's see what happens if we click the left. I'm thinking the left too. Yep, it's the alignment. That's what I saw too. It's very subtle. They're going to become very subtle as you start kind of seeing this. But some of the best designers, I would like to throw myself in there, really looking at the details, right? That's a really good thing. And so this right here, once you see it, you can't unsee it. So you got to fix it. And it happens. You sometimes miss it, but it's always about making sure that you fix it. So in this case, it was the left. Here's another one. This one is slightly subtle. You might get it, but what is better? We've talked about some of these fundamentals in design, but what about this one? Which one is the better design that's good here? For someone said in the last one, it's left, right? Yeah, it was left. Okay. Okay, I'm seeing different answers here. It's interesting. A lot of you are really good at pointing out what the difference is here. Yep. Okay. This is good. This is good. I'm going to go ahead and make sure we select the correct answer. It is going to be the left. And the reason why it's the left is, is because of the capitalization. You got to be consistent with that. The skip has to be, now you could actually do lowercase, but in this case, you can't just start with uppercase and then go lowercase to the rest of the word. You either have to go all caps or do lower. You can't have both. Maybe if I turn this on, it would help kind of make sure we see that. So good job for all of you who did that. It shouldn't be in the medium category. It's a little subtle. These things are a little subtle, so that's funny. Okay, this one. What is the difference here? So this one, a little bit more. Ah, I see it. Okay. It's very subtle. Hopefully, if you can get this one, then you should consider yourself getting it. All right, you see it. You start to see what, as a designer, you used to see, and as a developer, you want to make sure you're not coding for it to look a certain way. All right, this one is good. I'm seeing a lot of you get this one. It is the right. It is right here. So that is the difference. The difference is that we have the spacing and we're making sure that we have that spacing there. So that's a really good thing, right? We want to make sure that we have just enough space between it. So good job for everyone who said the right. How about this one? This one is, again, subtle. Let's see if you'll get this one. Take your time. We're all here. Once I get a decent responses, I'll start giving the answer. But what do we think? Okay, off the bat, different answers here. Okay, that's okay. It is okay because we're here to learn. This is beginners week. We're here to start understanding what is good and what is bad design and those little things that matter. Well, I'm still seeing split answers. Okay, all right. Is there anyone who feels strongly about either one? We got different ones here. Anyone who changed their mind or anyone who's like, this is the one? Okay, interesting, interesting. Let's reveal the answer. Let's go ahead and do that. It is the left. And the reason why it's the left is because the icon. It's the icon. Again, sometimes it may be too big, but it's got to fit in line. In my head, I always imagine that there's a line on top of the letters, and you can't really have the icon go bigger than that. Like if I was to take a screenshot of this and I was to edit this, let me actually edit this. It's like this. So, oh, it's funny. My thing showed up in there. Let's do this. I always imagine there's got to be a line right here. That's always the way that I work off to make sure that it's the right size. And this one could go a little bit smaller, but that's a really big thing you want to make sure. So good job for everyone that said that sizing. It's too big. It's too big. Okay, how about this one? Oh, I can see this one. Yep. No, some of you got that one. It's okay. It's okay. You're learning. You now know why it wasn't good. Take it, embrace it. It's all okay. All right. Okay, I'm seeing some interesting things here. People are calling it out. Good. Okay. So I can already tell a lot of the hackers in here, a lot of you are starting to see what is good and what's bad and what's catching you. All right. So for those of you who just joined, we're playing a game called Can't Unsee. The goal of the game is to determine which of the two versions you're seeing is a better design that you can't unsee. We're looking for subtle design differences, and the goal is to help either designers or developers understand what is good, consistent design. And by good, consistent design, we're making sure we're saying what is design that is often, hey, this is subtlety that shouldn't be there, or it's good. So as someone said, design analysis, it's all about just looking at it objectively and seeing, okay, what do we need to make it better? And when you compare the two, it helps. All right. So a lot of you are getting it. A lot of you are saying left. It is the left. It is the spacing. That's a big one. The spacing between text blocks, that's a key thing. Now, you may even go a step further and really just make sure all three of these are good. But since the text is grouped together, you want to make sure that it's not too tight. This is a little too tight. That's a little bit good. So good job for those of you who were on team left. All right, this one is a little subtle. So let's see. Yeah, attending most of the sessions, not finding time for daily challenges. You know what? You'll figure out a way. You know, those daily challenges are really great, but that's okay because Global Hack Week is how what you make it. And I'm glad you're attending the sessions because it's one way to just learn a lot quickly and be together with everyone here who has all these amazing topics. So, okay, we're seeing some left and right. Okay, we're seeing some left and right. Let's see. Okay. All right. I think some of you are kind of on the fence of this one. What is a better design, the left or the right? Okay, so some of you are saying the right. Oh, it looks like Mary, you may have changed your answer. Okay. So, all right, some of you are saying the right. Yeah, you're identifying why, so that's always good. Some of you are saying the left. Let me help you with the answer. The answer is the right. And the reason why it's the right is because of the pricing right here. There's a little bit too much. So whether the text has extra padding or we're just not having the right sizing, whatever this is, it's going to be the right, and this is what we want. We want it to be in the middle, equally padded, equally aligned versus unaligned. Not good. So that might be the margin or the internal padding, whatever is going on there. All right, let's do a quick one. Can everyone see the difference here? It being $750 is the reason. I mean, it could be, right? But design-wise, let's see. Is it obvious? I don't understand why the price tag thing is wrong. It actually has to do with alignment. Um, so the reason why the price tag was wrong is because it was a little bit there. Okay, a lot of you are saying the left or the right. A lot of you have pointed out that it's because of the image. It's because of that image there. Yep, that's exactly it. I would like to take a moment, although I want to go a little bit deeper. I'd like to take a moment to kind of show why the padding was wrong on that price. Would everyone be okay if I just showed a quick demo, like on the design side, and showed why the padding is better? Is that okay if I take like 2 minutes to show that? Maybe a little bit helps. And obviously, it's from a developer standpoint, it doesn't help. But I'm curious if anyone is objects to me just showing a quick little thing. Awesome. Thank you for those who said absolutely. So let me go ahead and pull this up and see if I can just drop my screen here. So let me present and let me reshare here. So I'm gonna share my screen and I'm just gonna share my entire screen so it's just easier. Or I can just probably do the window. There we go. We just got that. All right. So someone said, I don't understand why the price was wrong. Why is that? So hopefully you can see my screen here. One of the main reasons that was wrong is because, well, let me just kind of put it background here. So one of the reasons on that image was, and I'm just gonna take a screenshot for reference here. So we had this image here, and what was wrong was the price tag and the padding. And they were asking, well, why is that a bad design? And that's a legitimate question. So if I just create a quick little button, so I'm gonna create a little box here. In fact, actually, I don't even need to do that. I can just create a frame and I'm just gonna add that color. So let's just get that green in there. There it is. And that looks like a 4 or 6 rounded. Yeah, that looks about that. So here we have our little rounded button. And what we're gonna do is we're just gonna add some text and we're gonna head and I don't know the euro, so I'm just gonna do 750 because on my keyboard I have that available. And what I'm gonna do is I'm going to make sure that it's auto width to that. And we're just gonna make this a little bit bigger. And then we're probably just gonna make this a little bit medium. So there we go, we have this price. So using the layout on auto layout, we can see here that the padding is a little bit off. We have 12 to each side, and then we have 7 on top. So what was really happening was that some of this was off by this way, where maybe the padding was in the corner. The padding here is all wrong. We can kind of see here that we have this extra padding where on the left we have 16. Hopefully everyone can see that. I'm gonna zoom in more. So we have a little bit more than on the left than we do on the right. And we have a little bit more on the top than we do at the bottom. So I'm using Figma currently. So for all of you asking what software I'm using, this is Figma. It can be free, but it's a free tool for designers. So this is Figma totally. And so here, it's really important that we want to make sure that we're maintaining consistency. This is what a good button looks like. But if I were to modify it a little bit more and have the wrong, kind of similar to the last exercise, this is bad. Even if you got a little bit closer, even if you were to do like 7 and 7, you still want to maintain consistency. So this is a good design and this isn't. So that's why I want to make sure that for someone who asked, I'm like, you know what, that's a great question. Let me go ahead and show that. So now that we have that there, hopefully that helps everyone kind of determine what's good and what's bad. Let me jump to the hard sections of the can't unsee. And let's see if we can kind of move forward and kind of wrap our way towards this mini session. So I'm glad this is helpful for some of you, but let me see if I can go ahead and reshare my screen one more time. And let's go ahead and do a can't unsee game here. Thank you for letting me showcase that. That's really awesome that everyone was cool with that. Okay, so now we are on the hard section of the can't unsee. So now we're starting to really try to figure out what is the subtlety here? What is the difference between a good and bad design, even when it's really good? We're talking, you can't unsee it. Like you can't even see it. You can't even see the difference once you see it. So it's very subtle. Looking at this, I can already see what the subtlety is. So is it the left design or is it the right design? What is a better design? What is the small difference that once you find it, you can't unsee? Okay, a lot of you are saying the left. I see a little bit of right. I'm gonna give everyone a few more seconds to kind of play with it. You're saying the button. Yeah, so definitely you're in the right area, but which one is better? Which one is the better design objectively? The left. Okay. I'm gonna help everyone out here. Final answers. It is the left. And the reason why it's the left is very subtle. It's the spacing on the button. So see here, there's a little extra gap. This gap right here, that's too much. So we want just enough gap between it to consistent. We want to make sure that the spacing is aligned. Here, it's a little bit too much. So it's very easy to tell that you want to make sure that's fixed. Another one. So same design, but doing it. Yeah, that spacing. So that's all it is. So starting over here, what is a better design? And even as I look at it with everyone, I'm kind of like, oh yeah, what is it? Yeah, I'm even trying to figure it out. I'm like, okay, what is the difference here? So some of you are saying the left. Wow, this is super subtle as I'm looking at it. I want to say the left is better. I think this is just me guessing with you, but I think it's the left, and I'm seeing kind of the difference here in size. I want to see what all the other hackers think. A lot of you are saying, left, something's off with the right button. Yeah, yeah, there's something wrong with it. Let's see if we're all correct. So let's see. It is the left, and it's the tracking. That's what it is. See, that's exactly what it is. So in the text tracking, right, how much spacing is out of there, letter spacing, someone hit it. Yep, that's exactly it. So that's what looked off to me. But indeed, the difference was the letter spacing. That's a little bit too much letter spacing. You just want it a little bit tighter. Funny enough, if your brand has big letter spacing, that may be the case, but we're thinking about usability. You typically don't want to add brand elements to it, so that's a really good one. So it is the left. For the most part, it's basically under CSS for execution of it primarily. So that's a big thing, is making sure that you're setting your font properties correctly, which in this case, tracking is part of CSS you can do on the front end. And so a really interesting question, why do people choose Figma over Adobe? Technically, Adobe bought it, so really, what's the difference? The ultimate difference is just tooling. Figma just is very designed towards designers, and they understand the tools that designers need nowadays versus what XD provides, plus collaboration. I think Figma is a perfect center between product people, developers, designers, and it does it very well. Whereas Adobe, well, I've been using Adobe for years, but they don't necessarily prioritize the efficiency of it or the pricing of it. So it's an interesting. I don't think one is better. It's just about knowing your tools. That's really what it is. How about this one? What is the difference on the design? What is the most correct design? Looking at it here with everyone, some of you are saying left. The left? What's going on here with the left? Oh, I think I see it. Oh, I think I see it. Yeah. Yeah, I think I see it too. So all of you smart hackers are saying the left. Okay. Well, why don't we go ahead and let's go ahead and say the left. I'm agreeing with most of you. It's the left. It is the shapes. This is super subtle. Let me zoom in here and see if anyone can notice. But it's the kind of the radius, or even kind of different points of the circle that are just a little off. So that's the biggest difference. This is what it's supposed to look like. And that is that. So if I toggle it, hopefully it shows you the difference, but it would definitely was the left. So all the difference was was just that size. Looking back here, there is an obvious difference between the left and right. Hopefully you can see it pretty easily. This one's less subtle, but hopefully you can identify which is the best design. Yes, the difference is very small, super, super small. Okay, some good answers so far. I haven't seen any. Oh, okay. So some of you are saying it's there. Some of you identified what it is. That's good or bad. So that's good. So a lot of you are having that design eye. A lot of people call it the design eye, but um, so far, overwhelmingly, a lot of you are getting it there. And then this one, it's the left, primarily because of the resolution. It's too low, right? We need something sharper. We need a higher image. We can use an SVG, a vector icon, so that it's always sharp, and vectors scale with resolutions, especially as you're not designing in pixels, but you're designing in rems, which are relative. So that's always an important thing. As a designer, it's important to know that. And as a designer and as a developer, it's actually good to also keep in mind of scaling it. So can we also join it? We don't actually, I'll be sharing the link so you can play on your own. And actually that is actually kind of a close transition. We're going to do one more, and then we're going to make sure there's a 15-minute gap for the next section, at least towards the end of the hour. So let's do one more. This is the last one we'll be doing, and I'm going to share the link so that everyone can be able to try it on your own and practice and keep yourself sharp. So here, what is a better design, the left or the right? And even as I look at this one, it's very subtle. It's super subtle. As I look at this one here. Oh, I see it. This one is very, very subtle. So I'm gonna make sure that for the last one, all of you are thinking as close as we can before we reveal the icon. So I will tell you right now, it is not the video icon. It isn't the video icon. It is not the video icon. So I'm gonna make sure that if you're thinking it's that, don't worry about that. That's not the difference. There is a subtle, subtle difference. I may have to zoom in to make sure that everyone can see the subtle difference, but there is a subtle difference. And again, by subtle, I'm talking about extremely subtle. So is it the left or is it the right? It took me a little bit to find it, but as you pay attention, as you look at it, there is a better. So someone's talking close to what it could be. Some of you are saying the line or it's the font. The right is better. Ooh, okay, interesting. And now in the beginning of the session, we talked about a few things. We talked about consistency. We talked about contrast. We talked about making sure that things are easy to read and that they're spaced out correctly. So for this one, the correct answer is the left. Oh, hold on. No, it's not that. I thought it was this. It's the tracking. Did anybody get that? I totally missed the tracking. Whoa. I thought it was the 2 hours. I got bamboozled. I bamboozled myself. It's the tracking. I didn't even see that. The tracking is better on the right. It's too close here. It's not readable. So for those of you who said the right, you got it for the reason that I've missed. Look at that. It was a text spacing the whole time. I bamboozled myself. All right. I am pasting in the website. It's called Can't Unsee. So this is the website that I recommend everyone to play, keep yourself sharp, to make sure you can kind of identify and get a high score of what you think is a good or bad design. Again, design is objective, but we can all agree that something that has good spacing, that is readable, that has good contrast, that has good image resolution and sizing. These are fundamental design things that are very important. So hopefully this was a fun game for everyone to learn and play. I look forward to having other fun games and other global hack weeks for everyone to play, especially as a designer perspective. But does anybody have any questions or anything that I can answer for anyone as we hit some of the time here? This is fun. I'm glad you thought it was fun. It was great playing with all of you and kind of explaining some of this and talking through it. You can find me in the Discord. I'm the Robert from MLH. I'm happy to answer any questions for design or be able to kind of walk through anything that I would have time for and just kind of help out. So this is all I do. I've been in design for many years and I'm very passionate about it. So happy to always help all of you, especially in the theme of Beginners Week, learning and picking things up and kind of either refreshing yourself or figuring out something you might be interested in, like a beginner. Hopefully, this was a lot of fun. So I'm glad you enjoyed this session. Thank you, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and just hang around for a few more minutes, like a minute or two, while these questions come in and anything else you want to say. But I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. So thank you. Absolutely. This was a fun session. I think I have one more later in the week. I think it's Thursday. I have another session. It's about learning how to do augmented reality on iOS. So if anyone has a iPhone or an iPad or a Mac, you're more than welcome to join that session. Check it out on the schedule. And I can show you how to do some augmented reality stuff really quick. So it's fun. This is such a great game. Thank you. Absolutely. This was a great game. I'm glad you all enjoyed it. I want to paste it again. Any design challenges? I think there is a few actually. I believe there is. Thank you for the awesome game. Oh, thank you. Thanks for participating. I hope you learned something. As long as you had fun, you learned something in the spirit of Global Hack Week, that's all that's important to me. So I thought a lot of you would enjoy this. So thanks again for all the great love and appreciation on this. It was fun. Okay, so let me go to remove this. Thank you again, everyone. I'm going to wrap up the stream. Have a great Global Hack Week. I can't wait to see all the amazing projects. Feel free to ping me in Discord if there's anything that I can do and I can find some time to answer. Other than that, thanks again. Hope it was fun, and we'll see you around.